Hi, and welcome to today's session about Jenkins UI and infrastructure. My name is Darren Pope. I'm a developer advocate with CloudBees, and along with me today, I have Mark Waite. Mark, how are you doing?
Great, Darren. Thanks.
So we decided for this last Tuesday in September, now it's not the last Tuesday, but it's the last Tuesday for us because next week we are going to be at DevOps World. And you can join us there, by the way. If you want to save $400, we'll have a discount code for you in a few moments. But DevOps World is happening next Wednesday and Thursday, but the Jenkins Contributor Summit is next Tuesday. And some of the items that we're going to be talking about today are coming out and going to be presented more at the Contributor Summit, right?
Right. Well, both the Contributor Summit and as talks at DevOps World.
Okay.
So the topics we've got are, in fact, specifically around things that will be discussed in Contributor Summit and then have a supporting talk at DevOps World also.
So do you want to just get into it?
I think we should.
Where do you want to start today? Do you want to start at infrastructure or do you want to start at UI?
Let's start at UI because I think that's a fun one, and we should see some cool things there first.
Okay. So I will get ready to share your screen, but do you want to clear off the...
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Now here we go. All right, so here is Mark's screen. He's going to show us something. If you're running weekly, you probably will be like, yeah, so what? But
Well,
because you already seen it.
Well, and even better than that, this is the screen that we see here is actually LTS. So
that's true.
2.361.1, the most recent LTS, looks exactly like this. What you see on the left is, okay, this is the configuration page for a job. Mm-hmm. Now, in this particular case, it's a configuration page for a job that's read-only because it's multi-branch defined. But the same look is applied to one that you can read and write. Notice that instead of menus across the top, we've got menus down the side panel. So when I navigate, my menus stay on screen, but I get all of the vertical real estate for for page content.
Can I say how much I love this?
Me too. I am so thrilled with this change. This thing makes it just feels better. It makes the page feel much more modern than the old way of doing things with menus across the top. So
I want to back up for a second. I don't care. The modern argument doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Mm-hmm. It's logical. Because if I had to scroll up to look at the tabs before, it made no sense. But now I've got this sticky thing on the left that I can go, oh, these are the sections of where I'm going to go.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I agree. The navigation is much better thanks to this change, and deepest thanks to Jan Faracek, to Tim Jacomb, to Alex Brandes, to Basil Crow, to so many people who've worked to make this change a success. We see the change in pipeline jobs. We see the change in freestyle jobs. We see the change in matrix jobs. We see the change in Maven job type jobs. So even as far as I can tell, it's a complete change, and it's been done very, very nicely. They've done just a great job to get to this point.
Yeah, let's catch this one comment. Micha, it's good to see you. By the way, this is one thing I forgot to say at the top. I did turn on, you have to be a subscriber for at least 5 minutes before you can post. Not that I'm trying to get you to subscribe, even though I am. But we've been getting a lot of comment spam during the sessions, and I was like, if I at least set up a quick subscribe for 5 minutes, most people will be willing to do that. So we'll see if my experiment plays out correctly or not.
Right. Well, and thanks to everyone who's joining us live. That's great. We're delighted to have you live, and please feel free to post questions. We're really thrilled to have questions and to interact.
Okay. And Micha says, here a mic is acting. It's probably my earphones because I can't hear it, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. So, okay. You sound good to me, Mark, and I'm assuming I sound okay to you. So
you do. I can hear you just great.
Oh, Mark. Oh, yeah. Oh, Mark is echoing. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Got it. That's fine. You're not.
Okay.
Or you may be, but I'm not hearing it. So.
Okay. So we're good. We'll keep it there. If I need to be quieter, there are plenty of times when I'm just too loud. So don't be shy about saying, Mark, be quieter if you need to.
Okay. But anyway, the UI, so this is sort of like the basic UI change number one. And this is an LTS today, obviously in weekly as well.
Right. Now, the next thing, though, is that In weekly and not yet in LTS is a similar change. Notice this is the plugin manager. On the
Right.
plugin manager, what we were used to, and I can show you the old plugin manager really quickly here, because as
Okay,
it
let's
turns
do that.
out, on ci.jenkins.io, I happen to also be an administrator. So let's look at the plugin manager here. Notice that they're across the top. Now they're attractively styled. They're very nicely styled, but they're across the top.
Right.
Notice that in weekly now,
Ah.
side panel.
I hadn't even caught that, and I run weekly. So,
Right. Exactly. And so, oh, and guess what? The search is much more visible. It's
Yep.
a little bit broader now. So, yes, here we are. Side panel gets it. Now, this is not yet in LTS and won't be in LTS until like January. So this is very much a weekly thing, and ongoing exploration. It's ready for production use. Weekly is usable in production and works just great, but this won't be visible to LTS users until at least January.
until the next .1, right?
Correct. The next
Okay.
.1. Right. But yeah, I shouldn't. Thank you. Darren makes a very good point. The Jenkins release calendar works on weeks, not on months or quarters. I just have the convenient assumption that 12 weeks is roughly one quarter.
Right. With it being September, though, since the .1 came out in September, I would expect it then technically in the December release, if we have a December release.
I'll actually have to look. It's a good point.
Doesn't matter. But
you're
again,
right.
.1, right? Just because
Right.
sometimes, all right, so we've already talked about this before, like months ago. Usually around December, we may or may not have a release in like middle December, right? It may be either super early or then it just goes into January because holidays.
Right.
But we ended up taking a lot of holidays between, what was it, 332 and 346?
Right. We took a 2 or a 3 week delay there intentionally so that we could get more stable. And that may change how the things shape out as we get to the end of the year.
Yeah, so rewinding it to all that, we'll see these new left navs in the next .1, whatever that new number will be.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, good clarification. So moving from top level menus to
Yep.
side panel menus
Yep.
in the next .1.
Right. And that just
Now-
seems to be a just ongoing thing. Like we're moving the things logically that should be on the left nav to the left nav.
Exactly, and I think that's been a great thing that Jan Faracik and Tim Jacome have been doing so well, is incrementally improving the Jenkins UI while retaining compatibility. They work very hard to make sure that things work well and that they're well behaved and that they operate the way you'd expect in this new world.
And speaking of new world,
Yeah.
some of the things that might be coming down the line are pretty interesting.
They are. So I've got another piece to show on the UI, and for me, that's this one. Okay, this one you say, but this isn't new. This is Jenkins Blue Ocean, right?
Yeah.
Darren,
You're burning in my eyes.
Yeah,
Stop it.
yeah. That's a very green picture. I agree. That is a very green picture. Here's Blue Ocean, right? This is pipeline visualization. This particular one is showing a pipeline that's running 3 parallel builds through a checkout, build, and archive stage.
Right.
And it's very common to do it this way. We've got a new capability, the pipeline graph viewer, that does not require Blue Ocean, but is able to render the pipeline graph. So this build flow that you see here is rendered without having to use Blue Ocean at all. And in fact, I've gone one step further, and on my personal Jenkins controller, I've actually removed Blue Ocean to be sure that I understand what it means to operate with just pipeline graph view.
Now, there's one thing that, because I've tried this out.
Mm-hmm.
Click on 213 in your breadcrumb.
Okay.
So this was sort of, and again, this is like, I don't want to put words into Tim's mouth. Tim's the maintainer for this plugin. But this is it feels very alpha, which is okay, right? I mean, you get it. And I believe it even says it publicly, right, as alpha?
I don't know that he called it alpha, but he certainly notes that it's a work in progress.
Work in
and
progress.
It definitely is a work in progress.
So if you look at your left nav right now, right, you have to search for it. That's my only, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how do I use this and where is it? Because it feels like, and Tim, if you're watching this, I apologize. I get it that it needs to be on the build number. It makes total sense. But it seems like if I was just using this and I wanted to see that view, I may or may not remember to go all the way down to the build number to find
So
it.
I think what you're highlighting is when I go to this level, when I go up to the job level, I see an open blue ocean, and it takes me somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't see a open pipelines graph view. Now, when I click stages, I do get a visual representation of the stages, not rendered in graph view form, but I get
Right.
it. So
Okay.
you're correct that it's a more difficult navigation pattern in that I have to go all the way into the specific build in order to find the graph view.
Right. Whereas if you've used Blue Ocean at all, the navigation feels very different because it is.
Right, exactly. And that may be something that Tim's open to. It might be that what we would consider is something like, hey, what if we put a pipeline graph view at the top level and always had it open the most recent build?
Yeah, which would be
Something like that.
okay to me. It would be logical, right? Just because the pipeline graph view is not Blue Ocean. It's not trying to be a replacement for Blue Ocean.
Right.
It's trying to lift out the great parts of Blue Ocean, which is the visualization.
Exactly. And I think that's something that Tim would probably be willing to consider as a pull request of, hey, look, let's add a top level link. Now Tim and Jan are working rigorously to remove more things from the side panel links because the list is, well, you see it here, is really long. It's painfully long.
Yeah.
So asking them to add one, they may not view it as positively as we'd hope, but I think it's a valid point that on the job page, it'd be nice to have one click take me to the pipeline graph view for the most recent build.
Or, since we're theorizing anyway, scroll down. Just because we can. I wonder if you could have something, if you could make the stage view a little bit smarter and have a click out from stage view to then go to there. I mean, like not at that level, but actually on the row. So to the left of it, to where we have the build number, if we had another little pill there icon, that's like, okay, show me this. Or maybe a variation of that would be, which this would get too dirty, within the build history. Also have something in the build history that would take you over there.
Well,
but regardless,
I've actually got something in the build history, but I have to hover over the drop down chevron
and scroll.
That's That's not nearly as fluid an experience as we'd like to have.
Yeah. Again, this is early, but I love it.
Right.
Well, it's great.
It does still give, for instance, it still gives some way to view the console, so I can see console output. It's still very much a work in progress, right? You see here that, yes, the console content is there. It's not quite as polished as the Blue Ocean console rendering, but it's the capability is definitely there.
Yep. I'm liking it. It's definitely in the right direction. That's for sure.
Well, and the elegance here is that the recent fixes were done not by Tim but by someone else. And one of the things that's been noted by a leading contributor is it's much easier to contribute to Pipeline Graph View plugin than to contribute to Blue Ocean. There's a much less difficult build process, a much less complicated contribution process for this particular plugin. So thanks to Tim for his amazing work getting it where it is.
Absolutely. I want to stay there for just a second. If you were to try to do any kind of changes to Blue Ocean, you had to know Blue Ocean. It was because it wasn't just one plugin; it was a suite of plugins to make Blue Ocean. Here, if I remember right, this has some dependencies on some other plugins. Obviously, Pipeline, because Pipeline. But that was pretty much it. It was a pretty small dependency tree, which was great.
Right. And if you want hard evidence of that, go to plugins.jenkins.io and look at the list of dependencies for Blue Ocean and compare it to the list of dependencies for Pipeline Graph View. And the difference is dramatic.
Yes.
So yes, Nice piece of work that Tim's done here. Really nice.
Okay. So pipeline graph view, and then we're on to...
Well, so my next thought was let's go to the infrastructure topic. But did you want to spend a few minutes on DevOps World before we go to infrastructure?
Absolutely. So if we're talking about DevOps World, again, it's next week. It's coming up fast. Orlando, Florida, next week, 27th, 28th, and 29th. The 27th is the Jenkins Contributor Summit. 28th and 29th is the conference itself. Price is $13.50. If you have a group of 3 or more, you can save some money. But if you're buying a single ticket, you're near the Central Florida area, or you know you can get there, we can save you $400 today. If you use the code DW22 Jenkins RTE, that's DW22 Jenkins RTE, that'll save you $400 for a registration fee of $950. Now, you know what I haven't checked today? I'm not going to do it live. I'll look at it in just a moment. I saw there is a chance that the Artemis mission may go up on Tuesday.
No, I heard...
During the day.
I heard noise from that from another colleague who is looking forward to a possible trip out to the Cape on Monday as a way to watch things. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't been following the Artemis mission, but he said that, hey, they hadn't chosen a launch date last he knew final. So there was still some hope.
And I meant to check, but again, if you stay also at the resort that we're at, it's the Orlando World Center Marriott, there's a resort fee. Okay, there's a resort fee. Long list of things that the resort fee includes. But the number one is a bucket of golf balls and use of rental clubs at the driving range daily for up to 4 guests. Now, can I consider myself 4 people? I'm not sure. Does that mean I get 4? I don't. But anyway, that's next week. So that being said, we won't be here next week. I do want to talk about one more thing since we're here in the middle. Again, no live stream next week, but starting back the beginning of October. October is Hacktoberfest. And we have, Mark's not going to join us, but another one of our coworkers, Jean-Marc, is going to be joining us. He's Santa. Don't let him tell you otherwise. He's Santa. He's Santa.
He is not Santa. Jean-Marc does have a marvelous beard, though. He's a very charming man.
He's Santa. And I know him. So we're going to be talking about Hacktoberfest on the 4 Tuesdays in October. Same time, same place, unless Jean-Marc decides to change the time. But we've got a plan. The plan's looking good. So we'll be talking Hacktoberfest and what else happening within the Jenkins community during Hacktoberfest. Something new for us. So we'll try that out. All right. So you're ready to move on to Infra. And again, we'll come back to DevOps World one more time before we leave. Let's get back to Infra. And let me give you back the screen. So if I hit the right one, there we go.
So one of the topics at DevOps World, so Tim Jacome and Jan Farachik will be doing a talk on the next generation of Jenkins UI. In addition to their talk, Damien Deportal and Hervé Lemur will be doing a talk on Jenkins infrastructure, Ask Me Anything. Now, ask me anything. Okay, so I wanted to spend some time today looking at how Jenkins, the project, delivers Jenkins core and Jenkins plugins to users around the world. And when I say delivers, I mean there are 300,000 Jenkins controllers in the world that are regularly reporting back to the Jenkins statistics system that they're doing things. And there are millions of jobs defined on those 300,000 Jenkins controllers in total that are doing work. And those Jenkins controllers periodically ask a central service, tell me if there are any plugin updates so that they can tell users. They'll ask, are there any security issues? So again, they can tell users. I wanted to spend some time today talking about what that infrastructure actually looks like behind the scenes, so that we get some hint of just what's happening, and maybe also invite you to either now or during Hacktoberfest contribute a little bit to help the infrastructure with your software skills, etc. So this is the Download Jenkins page. All right, this is where it all starts. I want to download core. Well, already we see 2 or 3 different interesting things that we should consider. If I download weekly, let's choose that one for now. There's a generic WAR file, a Java package. How does that get delivered to me? Well, the URL is get.jenkins.io/war/2.369/jenkins.war. That URL goes to a service that identifies your geographic location and chooses the mirror that is geographically nearest to you. It looks something like this. Now, this is that URL opened with question mark mirror list on the end. And what it shows me is this is Jenkins 2.369, just released today. And it shows me that there are mirrors online in FTP CHI, FTP NYC, there's one in the Netherlands, there's one in Germany, there's one in China, and there's the fallback of archives in the US. Now, these mirrors get their synchronization whenever they choose to sync. And 2.369 only released a relatively few hours ago, so it's not on all mirrors yet. If we change this to last week's release, so I'm going to change the 369 to a 368. Oh, whoops. Hey, there's a mirror, and this mirror, xmission.org, is actually geographically closer to me. So I've still got the other 2 mirrors, but there's an even better mirror that if I try to download last week's release. Now, if I wait 8 or 10 hours, that mirror will be updated, and it will get the most recent release. So this mirroring system provides downloads of Jenkins Core and Jenkins plugins from donor systems that provide bandwidth willingly to people around the world. So we're very grateful on this one, let's look. We've got Tsinghua University in China, Yamagata University in Japan, the Technical University at Aachen in Germany. Grunhalle is, I believe, a company in the Netherlands, and then the Oregon State University Open Source Lab, that's this OSU-OSL, they've donated for years 2 locations that we can use to mirror. And Xmission is a major internet provider here in the middle of the United States. Each of them willingly provides mirroring. Darren, did you have a comment?
Yeah, you were talking just bandwidth, but it's also not just bandwidth. It's also the storage, because they're mirroring, right? So that means they've got the bits locally on their servers, their storage. And
that's certainly correct. Although I suspect for most of these people, the storage is so small as to not be a big worry. In my case, I actually have a private mirror, and it starts at about 100 gigabytes is all.
Okay.
So it's surprisingly lightweight. Now, one of the things that we really would love to have, and I'm going to scroll this map to show why we would love to have it. Let's look. Let's see.
Wait, you want to be in the Pacific Ocean?
I'm going to put us closer to the Pacific Ocean for a little bit. Oh,
Okay.
I have to go this way. I have to go the correct direction around the globe. What I want to show is that we've got a large chunk of the globe that is not well served by mirrors. Okay,
Right.
Notice that the African continent, the Indian subcontinent, and Israel, for example, the Middle Eastern area, have no mirrors, so they're depending on either getting their bits from Europe or getting their bits from China.
Wow.
We would love to have organizations that are willing to donate bandwidth and storage in these less well-served areas like India, like the Middle East, like Africa. And if you want to donate, what you do is contact the infra team through a help desk ticket.
Is it a help desk ticket now, or is it an issue?
You go to, I should show you what it is. You go here, you go Jenkins,
Okay.
GitHub, help desk. So it's the Jenkins-infra/help desk repository, and here you
Right.
click issues, new issue. And that's where you work with it.
Got it. Okay.
But so the mirroring thing here is that it is a real service. If you've got capacity available that your employer would be willing to donate, you could do a serious benefit to your area if you're in India, if you're in the Middle East, if you're in Africa and would be willing to host a mirror site.
So go ahead and scroll up a little bit, or just slide it up. No, not in, but up.
Okay.
I don't think we need to cover Greenland. I think we're okay. But I'm looking at Australia and
Here.
and South America, because that's headed towards Japan, which that seemed like a long way. Go right and let's look at South America.
Yeah, so here, there's no coverage right now for anyone in South America. So if you're a Brazilian internet provider, for instance, this is a great opportunity to help the Jenkins project and users all throughout South America.
Yeah, so basically anything south of the equator looks to be pretty non-existent.
Correct, right. Okay. All of those mirror sites are north of the equator. And we would be well served if people were willing to, Australia, for instance, if somebody's in Brisbane or Sydney and was willing to host a mirror site, that would be great.
Cool. Okay.
So this is just one piece of that, and we can see statistics for those kinds of things. This is the mirror stat site. So if instead of mirror list on the end of the URL, you put mirror stats, this shows, hey, who's been responding and where are they? So if we look in Northern Europe, I think it's kind of cool to see. Look at this. We have 3 mirror sites within relatively short geography each other, which means none of them are carrying the full burden of European downloads, right? They're being load balanced between them. So we're very grateful to these donors that are willing to do that. There are times I worry a little bit about Tsinghua University because I think we're putting a very heavy load on them. They're serving all of China, right? The entire Chinese world is being served, and they're serving most of India because geographically they're the closest to India. And so we're very, very grateful to Tsinghua University for what they're doing. So now this is just the distribution of bits. Okay, what about things like updates? Well, so we could look at, there's a site called updates.jenkins.io that is the Jenkins Update Center. This page...
Okay, time out.
Go ahead.
Explain the Update Center. Like, what's the purpose of the Update Center?
Good question. Okay, so the Update Center, so Jenkins depends on plugins, right? Much of its functionality is implemented by plugins. And in order to get updates to those plugins, we need to know when an update is available. And in order to be informed of a security risk in a plugin, we need to be informed of that. The Jenkins Update Center provides information about plugin updates, about Jenkins plugin security advisories, and it knows, it can be told, hey, my Jenkins version is this, give me things that match my version. So Jenkins update sites, the Jenkins Update Center provides that data. Jenkins then presents it to you saying, oh, there's a plugin update available and you can download it. Well, I find this Update Center page quite helpful. It also, I should note the other thing, it also provides metadata for tool installers. So Darren and I have talked in the past about how you do a JDK installer. And one way to do it is to use a tool installer. Well, the metadata that says which components are available comes from the Update Center. So these things are a great help. Let's again take a look at a plugin that I'm aware of. So here's the Git plugin. If I click this link, it goes to updates.jenkins.io, latest git.hpi. It would download the Git plugin. Now, if I copy that link and open it up here, and again, I'm going to put on the end mirror list, it now turned the latest into what is the actual latest release, 4.12.1, and shows me the mirroring definition for it. And it handed it off to get.jenkins.io so that one of the download mirrors could provide it to me from, in my case, X mission, instead of going all the way to some central location halfway around the planet. So just the mirroring system, I think, is already a really cool thing. If you're in Damien and Hervé's session, don't hesitate to ask them where they see the mirroring system going next, or what might be coming for changes to the mirroring system, because we know we need more mirrors, and we're delighted with people who are willing to donate their mirroring.
Cool.
Okay, so now that's again only one piece of things, because there's a lot more to it than that. Let's look at other stuff on the Jenkins site. So if we look at infrastructure, and here it's probably best if I just navigate this way. Community, oh, how sad that I'm oh, there it is, infrastructure. I have to find myself in the menus. So this is the top level infrastructure page for the Jenkins project. And what it highlights for us is many of the services that the Jenkins project needs to provide in order to keep delivering Jenkins to users. So let's look at some of the things, for instance. Like, we've got a monitoring system that is donated by Datadog. We're very grateful for their donation, because when things go down, we are very appreciative that we know. Likewise, PagerDuty has donated notification for us, so when Datadog tells us something's down, we get PagerDuty notifications. We've received donations from cloud providers that let us put things on various Kubernetes services like AWS, like Azure, like DigitalOcean. Each of them donating services that we can use. We're using Oracle as well as donating services. Grateful for each of them that are providing capabilities for us and hosting different applications on those services. So, for example, the Accounts app lets us register users. We have an LDAP server behind it that answers questions, and yes, we have over 100,000 users in the Jenkins LDAP. Guess what? It's a big project. We host JavaDoc. We've got the primary website, the site that we're browsing right now, has to be delivered. And not only is it delivered, but thanks to work from Gavin Mogan, we also, every change, get prototype copies of the site available, hosted by Netlify. So we're deeply grateful to all these contributors and donor companies that make it so that we can continue delivering Jenkins to the world. So there's the plugin site. Each of these pieces gives us all sorts of indicators of what's going on in the Jenkins project and how people can use Jenkins.
There's a lot going on here. This isn't just a WAR file stuck on somebody's server.
Correct. Well, and well, okay, let's actually, Darren, we've got to look at this one. So we're going to go back to the download page. I'm going to go to the download page here, because this is just one tiny piece, and you and I have talked about it repeatedly. We're going to go to the changelog for weekly. And right at the top, we see the sunshine, a cloud, and rain. And if this one's just brand new, so no data collected. But here we've got 1 week ago, 46 users clicked on this sunshine in the last week and said, hey, I've had no major issues. One user clicked on I experienced a notable issue and reported this issue. So now I can open that and see, hey, what was their concern? They were seeing the wrong text when they were running in Brazilian language with a particular plugin and a particular configuration. They contributed by telling us, hey, I had a problem. How is that gathered? Well, there's a site that collects that data from the user. And having collected that data from the user, we can then display it to people.
Right. All these little subsystems come together to give you the experience of what you may just be used to saying, yum update, and magic happens, or update all plugins.
Right. Well, and those, I love that you mentioned yum update, because that already hints at another layer of of what I'd call interesting infrastructure that helps the Jenkins project. So if we go to ci.jenkins.io, okay, that's a big, very well-known
Yeah.
well-known site, right? It has thousands of jobs, a job on average for every plugin, plus for core, plus for infrastructure, plus for the packaging repositories, all sorts of jobs that happen here. However, there's also, for those who would like to see what does weekly look like, there's weekly.ci.jenkins.io. And weekly is just a showcase. It's intentionally created to show off this design library. This is the design library that Jan Farachik and Tim Jacome and others have been working on to show, hey, what's going on in Jenkins. So for me as a developer, I use this site to say, oh, I need to display a table. How am I supposed to do that? And it tells me right here, this is how I'm supposed to do it. Oh, I need to do a progress bar. How do I do a progress bar? And it shows, well, here are several different alternatives for progress bars. Oh, how do I do a checkbox? Well, there's that. So weekly is another. Now, not visible to other users because we intentionally defend those is infra.ci.jenkins.io that actually does the deployments of privileged services. And for things that are very sensitive, we have a system called trusted.ci.jenkins.io. And for weekly releases and LTS releases, we build them on, guess what, release.ci.jenkins.io. Yeah, we manage some CI servers because this is the Jenkins project.
Yes. Just a few. Not hundreds.
No.
But probably what is the true count today?
Oh, let's see. Counting.
All
I think
in.
we're like on the order of 6 or 8. So I'd have to
Right.
enumerate them, right? But it's, I think, 6 to 8, and they are for specific purposes, right? So, for example, ci.jenkins.io, this one here, let's go back there. ci.jenkins.io is intentionally structured so that it does unprivileged work, right? That's its objective. It is to do unprivileged work. So it does things like evaluate all pull requests to Jenkins core, evaluate all pull requests to Jenkins plugins. Infra.ci.jenkins.io does privileged work, but that's why it's also kept away from the public internet.
Right. But just thinking about ci.jenkins.io for a moment. Okay, any pull request coming to core, any changes or PRs to any plugin. And this is the other thing too with, if you look at the Jenkins CI GitHub organization, how many repositories do we have in there today?
Well over 2,000.
Well over 2,000. And all of that's feeding through this ci.jenkins.io that you're looking at right now.
Correct. Right. Exactly. So for example, when I receive to a very important plugin, one of my favorites, Platform Labeler, when I get a pull request, it arrives here. Okay, maybe other people don't feel as important about that. Let's look at a different one. Maybe we instead look at the Git plugin. It's got 19 open pull requests in various states that ci.jenkins.io does the evaluations. It helps me as a plugin maintainer because it runs tests for me before I ever try to decide if I should evaluate that pull request. Yeah, so lots of benefit to the Jenkins project from its own infrastructure. So now there are more pieces to this story as well. There are things like, well, reports on which we depend. So, for example, I'm deeply attached to the migration we've been doing to get plugins to change their documentation from being hosted on the old static wiki to being hosted on their own GitHub repository. And so we've got this report that we run. This report shows me that right now I've got over 900 plugins that still need to migrate their documentation from the wiki to GitHub. Now, I'm proud to say we've got over 900 that are done, right? That's really quite impressive because this was major work, right? It has to be done one plugin at a time, one person at a time, thinking about making those changes. And we've got some that are actually in progress. So this is actually a great thing for when you get John Mark on the on your Hacktoberfest sessions, Darren, be sure you ask him about plugin documentation migration, because it's an excellent candidate for a Hacktoberfest contributor.
Cool.
So these kinds of reports, and there are all sorts of reports like this. There are reports that tell us how many Jenkins installations there are and how is it growing, etc. All good hints that tell us how things are going. Now, beyond those, we've got services hosted for us by others, like the Artifact repository, like GitHub.com that hosts all of our repositories for source code, like the Gitter chat system we use for chats, like, thanks to the Linux Foundation, our Jira instance that tracks all of our issues. Every one of these components. Oh, and thanks very much to Fastly for making the Jenkins website delivered by a content delivery network. It makes it so that the experience browsing Jenkins.io is much, much better. So yes, all these things are great candidates for people to ask about in the Jenkins infrastructure Ask Me Anything presentation at DevOps World.
I'm going to try to say it a little bit differently, and I failed over to my tether, so if I sound a little crackly, that's why. You don't have to be a Java developer to contribute to Jenkins. Far from it. If you're an infrastructure person, we could help. We could use the help, right? If you are a company that is network-based, that could help fill in some of those mirrors on the southern part of the world, the Jenkins project could use your help. We're not, I mean, yes, we're asking for help, but we're not begging for help. I guess that's the way I'm trying to say it. It's like,
hey,
everything works, but we could use the help.
I'm willing to beg. I'm willing to beg. If it persuades them to help, I'm willing to beg. But I'm not sure that that's been successful for me in the past.
No. Just the mirror system alone is amazing. So it is.
And
it's critical.
It's a place where people can contribute and provide real value to others without major lifetime changing experiences, right? This is, it's a good place to contribute.
It's not petabytes, it's on the order of gigabytes, less than a terabyte,
Correct.
right? Easily less than a terabyte.
That's correct.
It's just bandwidth. Now, we can't speak to bandwidth, because if we were to offload bandwidth, does that mean the bandwidth stays the same, or does the bandwidth go up? I'd have to say the bandwidth would probably go up overall. If you were to add up all the mirrors, right?
Sure.
I would expect it, right? Because if you're getting better performance, you're probably going to be doing things more often.
Yeah, well, and certainly there are lots of things that get downloaded for Jenkins, right? Between the update center being regularly updated, plugin updates being downloaded, new versions of Jenkins Core, or downloading a new copy of the Yum, the RPM file, or the Deb file, or the Docker containers. Didn't even touch on the container infrastructure that we're so grateful Docker Hub provides for us. Hub.docker.com provides the container downloads for us.
Right. Wow. So, all that being said, infrastructure could use your help. If you're not a Java developer, you don't like writing docs, but you enjoy working on infra team is always looking for help. It sounds like I'm begging again. I don't mean for it to sound like I'm begging again.
Oh, well, and let's frame it slightly differently. If you're inexperienced in a topic but interested in learning, we've got people who are ready and willing to coach you as you learn, right? Whether that you may say, "Oh, I'm interested in learning a little bit more about Java development." Okay, we got lots of Java development. If you want to contribute, we can show you. I would like to learn more about how to write automated tests in Java. Yep. I can assure you there are people who are willing to coach you. Oh, no, I want to learn more about how you do work with Docker containers, with container images. Yep, we've got people who are interested in that. No, I want to know about how you deploy infrastructure as code. Yes. Oh, I would like to learn more about Helm charts. Okay, we do many things with Helm charts. I want to learn more about Kubernetes. If you've got topics that are of interest to you, there are probably places in the Jenkins project where you could add your value And the Jenkins project could help you develop your skills.
Very well said. Okay. So I want to go back over to DevOps World for just a moment. While you were going down some of the mirror stuff early on, I looked up Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, they're going to do a refuel tomorrow, September 21st. Today's September 20th. That's going to be their initial go, no-go of whether or not it'll happen on the 27th. So it might happen. If it happens, I know where I want to be, but I won't be because I'll be sitting with you, Mark, at the Jenkins Contributor Summit next week, next Tuesday, at DevOps World, right?
So when they refuel on the 21st, they'll then, based on the results of the refuel, they'll decide if they go live for a launch on the 27th?
It's the first leading point to make sure, yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's great. So we may know that answer even before we fly to Orlando.
That's correct. Of course, you're flying in Monday too, so it's
Right.
It's fine. Okay. DevOps World next week. Final time, I promise. 27, 28, 29th, $1,350, $1,350. If you want to save $400, the code that's up on screen right now, DW22 Jenkins RTE. That'll save you $400 off the registration fee. You still have to get a hotel. You still have to get there. But we can save you $400. Look, take that $400, go to Disney Springs one night, get your kids some stuff, and go back. It'll probably only be one of the dolls at $400, but hey, that's... Did I say that out loud? Was that my inside or outside voice? I'm not sure.
I heard you say that out loud, but I'm not going to go there.
Okay. Are you excited about DevOps World?
I am. We're going to have a bunch of fun. It is going to be a great experience. There's a lot to do. There's some great talks that will be there. Looking forward to the keynote speakers. Really excited.
There's going to be a lot going on. Again, we won't be back here next Tuesday because we're going to be there next Tuesday. But then the week after, I believe that's October 4th, I believe is the first Tuesday in October, noon, we're planning on working through Hacktoberfest. Now, since we're here, and since we're not going to be here next week, Hacktoberfest registration, sorry, I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but it's okay. Hacktoberfest registration starts on September 26th, which is next Monday. So if you're interested in getting started, again, we'll go through all that on that first session on October 4th.
Yeah, and there is a Hacktoberfest page on the Jenkins.io site. And
that's right.
They can certainly open hacktoberfest.com and read all about it. Get ready for that registration date that comes the 26th.
Right.
By all means, register and help projects during Hacktoberfest. What a great excuse to help open source projects.
Yep. So again, if you can make it to DevOps World, DevOpsWorld.com. Registration, save $400 with DW22 Jenkins RTE. Mark, thanks for being here with me again. I guess we will see each other next week, but we'll see everybody else back in, 2 weeks, I think, because the next LTS comes out in 2 weeks.
Right. You and I should, if we're not already scheduled, we should be scheduled for October 6th because the LTS will deliver on October 5. All right, is that right? October 7? Now
5.
I got to look. October
I think it's
5,
the 5th.
right.
Yeah.
October 5. So we'll see each other for sure on October 6th in a live stream like this one.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for being with us here live. If you're watching the replay, thanks. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for the people that chatted throughout. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you again in a couple of weeks. And we hope to be able to see you at DevOps World next week. Thanks, everybody.